What if somebody told you you could change your life and have the body that you want for the rest of your life? What if somebody told you that all you had to do is follow a simple formula and maybe struggle for a few months to get these results? What if you could reprogram your brain and actually enjoy healthy foods? Well, guess what? You can change your life. You can have the body that you want for the rest of your life, and you certainly can enjoy healthy foods. These words were taken out of this book behind me, Skinny Bitch by Rory Friedman and Kim Barnoian. And my name is Whitney. Welcome to the Healthy, Balanced Vegan Body series. I do a new video every Wednesday here on this channel covering a book such as this one and how it relates to getting healthy, getting the body that you want through the vegan lifestyle and the plant-based diet. Today's book is specifically about weight loss, although not every video that I do in this series will be about weight loss per se. Some of it's just balancing your body, some of it's gaining muscle, some of it's putting on weight, but I do want to preface this in saying if you're trying to gain weight or gain muscle, today's video probably isn't for you. This book is specifically directed towards women who want to lose weight, but guys, you can stick around too. You might learn some things from this. This book is also primarily about veganism. It's not written by doctors. It's written by two women that were formerly in the modeling world. One of them was an agent, that's Rory. The other one was a model, and that's Kim. And they found great success through changing their body through the plant-based diet and vegan lifestyle, and they share all of their personal experiences, their research, their passion in this book. It is backed up by a lot of research, so there are a lot of notes in here, but it definitely feels a little bit more personal. It feels kind of like this casual woman to woman type of conversation in this book. It also has a lot of adult language, so if you are uncomfortable with that or you have a child present that you don't want to hear some of this language, I am going to be reading some direct quotes from this book today, so you might want to wait till later to watch this video or skip it altogether. Also, if you don't have time to watch this, you can just get the notes. Every week when I read these books, I take notes out to share with you in the videos and also send to you in PDF form. To get those notes, you can sign up for the mailing list right down below, and I will send them to you as soon as possible, usually within a week of putting out the video. So I also have some of my own personal experiences with this book to share with you, but before I get to those, I want to start off with the quotes from the book, from the different tips there, so you can get a general idea, get some advice, get a perspective on what this book is all about. I'd also love to hear from you if you've already read this book, so feel free to chime in the comments down below. So this book came out in 2005, which is kind of mind-blowing. That was 10 years ago. It definitely feels a little dated, especially some of the food recommendations. Things have changed a lot in the vegan world since this book was written. So I wouldn't say it's the best resource if you're just looking for updated facts and tips and product recommendations on the vegan diet. That's part of the reason my channel is here, and there are a ton of other great resources out there. It's really incredible how much has changed. I went vegan in 2003, and I would say in the past 5 years, things have really changed. There's also a whole series of these books that have covered different elements of this lifestyle, so I'm sure those are a little bit more up to date. I don't know if the authors quite expected this to be such a massive success, but this book has created so many ripples for vegans and non-vegans alike. One of the main reasons being is that the title of the book is a little bit like a bait and switch. A lot of women ended up picking this book simply just to get weight loss advice, simply because you know, it had a fun little image on it, it had this sassy title, and then suddenly they're reading this book and in a couple chapters in, it's all about veganism. And it's written in this fun, sassy way, again with this adult language in there that makes it more relatable and approachable. It feels kind of like two women talking to you and giving you tips and just being super real, like maybe your best friends. And I think that's another part of the reason that this book was such a huge hit. I enjoyed it a lot when I first read it in 2007 or 2008, and it was really interesting rereading it because, again, with the information kind of outdated, with my experience being so much larger than it was when I initially read it, but also, I guess, sometimes it felt a little superficial. Sometimes it felt to me a little too opinionated. I would have preferred a little bit more I guess, well, it's interesting because there's a ton of research in it. There's so many footnotes in this book, or yeah, whatever those are called. So you could look at all of the data behind it, and it's obvious that they did a lot of research, but it also feels very biased, and of course I guess many books are, but very different from the other books that I've covered in this series so far, which have been written by doctors, which have been contributed to by doctors. This just feels more casual, and that can be very appealing to some people and work really well, but I think for other people it could be potentially dangerous. As I read some of the quotes to you today, I guess some things could be taken out of context, some things could be taken too seriously, or since they're not fully explained as a doctor might explain them, they might be misunderstood. So that's one thing I would say as a caution. I think this book is really great as an introduction to veganism, and I would say I don't know if it's super valuable to current vegans or even vegetarians. I think it's most valuable to people who don't really know anything about this lifestyle. They cover all sorts of elements, as I'm going to get into in a moment, including factory farms and organic food, and all of the health impacts of eating animal foods, and some of the environmental sides of it, even some of the spiritual sides of it, which is really interesting. So it gives you this broad perspective on it, always coming back around to losing weight. So let's dive right in to the notes here today. Okay, so I read you that quote. I actually kind of adjusted it a little as I was saying it out loud at the very beginning, but I love that quote about what would you say if someone told you blah blah blah. I think that is super empowering, because a lot of it is really true, and both Rory and Kim feel super strongly that you can change your life and your body through eating a vegan diet. They say you don't need a degree in biology to get skinny, which is true and a good thing to hear, although sometimes it kind of feels like that, doesn't it? I mean, that's part of the reason I did this series, is that sometimes it feels really confusing and overwhelming if you're trying to lose weight and you can't figure out why, even for us vegans. I mean, just because you're vegan doesn't mean that you're going to lose weight or get skinny, and I think that that's one thing of this book that's a little misinformative, or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know at the moment, but I think some people might think that, oh, if I go vegan, I'm going to lose all this weight, and that's been a bit of a debate in the vegan lifestyle or the vegan community. Is some people may just choose to go vegan to lose weight, and that's fine, because going vegan is a personal preference, but to associate veganism with losing weight can be a slippery slope, because then you might not stick with it, and especially if you don't get the results that you want. And also, as I mentioned, not every vegan is going to be super skinny, but this book kind of implies that that's the case, and I don't know, that to me is probably the biggest thing that I don't like about this book. They also say you don't need to starve yourself to be skinny, which is absolutely true, and that's actually talked a lot about in the previous books I've featured in this series so far, especially 80-10-10, Starch Solution, and Forks Over Knives, which basically say you can eat as much as you want as long as you're eating the right foods, which is talked about a little bit in Skinny Bitch. They say in order to lose weight, you just need to straighten up and use your head. We have been so brainwashed by fad diets, magazine articles, and advertising that we have forgotten to think for ourselves. I absolutely agree with that, and I think that's part of the reason it can feel so confusing when it comes to figuring out what's best for your body. They emphasize that this is not a diet, this is a way of life. So that does tie into the fact that it's beneficial not to think of veganism or the plant-based diet as a diet in those terms. Diet is a way of eating, not necessarily something that you do as a trend, as a fad, as a temporary thing. It's something that you'll do for hopefully the rest of your life. So the first thing that you need to do, according to Kim and Rory, is to give up your gross vices. They go into depth about exactly what this means, and I'll cover a few of them. But they do start with saying that they're not saying you have to give up junk food to get skinny. You just have to trade your old junk food for new junk food. They really emphasize this a lot in the book, as it's not about giving up things, it's about swapping them out, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So they cover things like alcohol, which they say raises the level of hydrochloric acid in your stomach, which wreaks havoc on your digestive process. So a lot of people know that, drinking too much alcohol can be really hazardous to our health, but not everybody associates alcohol with weight loss or weight gain. So that's something to consider. Also, who wants to have a bad digestive system? Not me. So it's beneficial to cut back or completely remove alcohol, and that's something most people really agree with. Similarly, coffee. Coffee is highly acidic, and acidic foods can cause your body to produce fat cells in order to keep the acid away from your organs. Interesting, right? Again, this is, you really want to make sure that you're checking all the sources with things like this. I'm quoting this directly from the book. That's not something that a lot of the other authors that I've looked at so far have positioned. They usually recommend avoiding acidic foods for just overall health benefits, not necessarily related to the fat cells and all of that. So I would double check topics like that. Whenever you see the word fat-free or low-fat, think of the words chemical shitstorm. They talk a lot about artificial foods in this book, which is good. I think that's something everybody can agree upon, eating whole foods instead of artificial, overly processed foods. They say that too much exercise is bad for you. Over-exercising can cause low body fat levels, which can disrupt the menstrual cycle and cause reproductive problems. But they don't really clarify what over-exercising means, so it's a little vague there. They barely talk about exercising in this book. I just thought I would point that out. I thought that was an interesting standpoint. Refined sugars make you fat. That's something pretty much everyone agrees upon. Excess amounts are stored in the liver as glycogen, but when the liver is too full, the excess amounts are returned to the bloodstream as fatty acids. Guess where those end up? Your hips, your stomach, your thighs, and your ass. So refined sugars are no-no, and they go over some of their top favorites. One of my top favorites is coconut sugar, dates as well. You do not have to give up sugars, you just want to avoid the refined sugars. They do give you a great tip here that brushing your teeth is a great way to ward off sweet cravings and stop yourself from eating. But make sure to read the ingredients and buy natural toothpaste, because sometimes toothpaste are adding more sugars and chemicals into our body, and that completely defeats the point. So this is really fascinating. Most Americans eat twice as much protein as necessary, which has sent obesity, heart disease, and cancer rates soaring over the past 50 years. This has gone over way in depth in the Forks Over Knives books and the documentary. Keep your eyes peeled for bad press regarding veganism. It's usually planted by industries that are threatened by the movement. Don't believe any of it. It's all bogus bullshit. Now, to me, I agree with a lot of that, but I also think it's super important to do as much research as possible focusing on and off the vegan diet, because if you're too biased on something, sometimes we leave out important information, and I often find really interesting information from people, let's say, on the paleo diet. Obviously, I'm not going to eat animal products, but there is some interesting information coming from those people that I can take into consideration. There are ways to kind of merge different perspectives on eating together. So I don't know if I would say don't believe any of it. I would say just be wary of who's saying what and why. That's really important, just as you want to be wary of who's saying what in this book, right? It's also always helpful to go into the back of the book and look at what sources they're using for information. I love this part too. They actually have some information on some studies that found that meat eaters are more likely to be overweight than vegetarians. They go into great detail on this, which I think is really useful, such as antibiotics, which can account for weight gain in all sorts of animals, so that can also result in weight gain for us. Toxic chemicals used in food are fattening. Low doses of toxic chemicals can increase your appetite, slow down metabolism, decrease ability to burn stored fat, and reduce ability to exercise. The FDA lists approximately 1,700 drugs approved for use in animal feed. Of those approved drugs, approximately 300 include weight gain in their description. So another reason to avoid animal products, you never know what's being put in those animals before you consume them. So just because the animal that you're eating might not have a lot of processed foods around it, that doesn't mean that chemicals weren't put into that animal while it was still alive, which is very, very common and a huge reason why it's a huge health benefit to avoid eating animal products, or at least to know where they're coming from. So this is interesting too. They say, let people know how great you feel and how much weight you've lost, but never suggest that they try it or make them feel bad about their diet. Offer to lend them your copy of Skinny Bitch or give them the goveg.com website. Now there are a ton of websites in the past 10 years, but don't push it. Everyone seeks the truth in his or her own time. Now, I think that's really wise information. It's a little interesting though, because Rory and Kim seem so passionate, and they spend all this time in this book kind of almost bullying's a really strong word, but they're they're intense in this book about go vegan, go vegan, go vegan if you want to lose weight, and yet they say don't try to suggest other people try it as well or make them feel bad about their diet. It's a little like completely counter to what they're saying in this book. So I guess those are the elements of this book that feel a little bit confusing, but I do think it's a good point. I mean, everyone does find their own truth in their own time. So if you read a book like this and feel super compelled to get everybody on board with it, I think lending them a copy of the book to find out for themselves is useful. And I'll tell you a little bit about some of my own experiences with other people who have read this. Okay. Our brilliant bodies make all the essential fatty acids we need except for two, omega-3 and omega-6. These good fats are found in olive oil, sesame oil, canola oil, flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil, raw nuts and seeds, and avocados. So quit listening to all the stupid bitches who boycott nuts, oils, and avocados because they think they're fattening. Even though they're high in fat, they will not make you fat unless you totally overdose on them. So this is interesting because as I covered in Forks Over Knives, Starch Solution, and 80-10-10, those people behind those books would recommend a little bit of a different perspective. They say to eat very low in fat, to avoid all oils, and to really minimize nuts and seeds and avocados. So that's somewhere where they really, really differ in opinion here. But again, this book is very opinionated versus those books which are really based in medical research. We know that dieters always crash when their favorite foods become forbidden, so we devised the Skinny Bitch plan to allow for cookies, cakes, chocolate, burgers, ice cream, etc. But yet they don't get too much in depth about any of that stuff. They do have a food list in here. They also have a 2-week meal plan, or actually maybe it's a 4-week meal plan in here, but it's very general. It's not as in depth. There are no recipes in this book. So some of their information just kind of leaves you hanging, and I guess it could be up to interpretation. Some people might just think that any vegan cookie is going to make them skinny, but they don't talk about moderation or specific types of cookies. Although they do have some lists in here, but again, that information is so outdated. So there's parts like that where they just kind of leave people hanging to kind of come up with their own ideas around it, whereas all the other books I've covered so far are very, very specific about recipes and specific types of food and specific types of allowances and what moderation means and all of that. So I guess that's why I feel like this book just kind of skims the surface. So you can look at it that way. Typical low-calorie diets confuse the body into thinking it's starving. So our fat cells slow down their leptin production to help increase our appetites. So we trash our diets and binge like rabid beasts. However, low-fat, plant-based diets actually boost leptin levels, helping each molecule of leptin work more effectively. So it's interesting there where they're basically saying that a low-fat, plant-based diet is beneficial in helping your body function. So it kind of goes against some of the other things that they've said, which is interesting. They say that the breakfast of Skinny Bitches is organic fruit, so they really emphasize that, and yet in their meal plans, most of their breakfasts are based in like starches or breads or other things like that, so that's a little confusing. They say don't eat lunch until you're close to ravenous. This will allow your breakfast to pass through your body without having food piles on top of it. I think that's pretty good, a pretty good tip right there, but if you're super ravenous, that can also really impact the food choices that you make. So if that's the decision you're going to do in terms of when you eat, it's really helpful to plan out what your lunch is going to be. Don't do what I do, which is kind of just wing it most of the time, because when I get ravenous, I make really bad food choices. So I highly recommend you plan, and it's worth looking into some of their meal plan suggestions, but I also think like the Forks Over Knives plan is a phenomenal guide. That's my favorite so far. All right, a few more tips for you here. If you want to get skinny, you can only rely on yourself. If you adapt only one practice from this book, let it be this: read the ingredients. Forget counting carbs, adding calories, and multiplying fat grams. If there is refined sugar, white or bleached flour, hydrogenated oils, and animal products, artificial anything, or some scary looking word that you don't know, don't eat it. So that's kind of a good summary of what this book says here. Then they kind of close the book with a more spiritual look at your body, which is, I think, super important. This is probably one of my favorite parts from this book. You are what you think. Our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and experiences create tangible, concrete reactions at cellular and atomic levels. If you think that you're fat and that diets never work and that you'll always be fat, then yes, you are fat and diets never work and you will always be fat. Your thoughts are just that powerful. So if you feel you are meant to be thin and believe Skinny Bitch will make you lose weight and know that this book is going to change your life, you will be thin, you will lose weight, and your life will change. It's just that simple. I agree with a lot of that, although I also feel like guidance is super helpful. So starting very positively and believing in yourself, believing you can do anything you put your mind to, I think that absolutely plays a huge role. But where do you go from there? You need a lot of great information. And again, I feel like this book just skims the surface. Don't associate your worth with your appearance. We are spiritual beings walking around in these crazy skin suits. Our insides are much more important than our outsides. So don't you dare measure your worth by the amount of attention or validation you get. It's nice to be appreciated, but it's not a necessity. Love yourself and your looks, even if no one else seems to. I think that is some of the most important advice in this book. And this book was also written before the whole social media craze began, so I'm sure that would be even further emphasized if this book was updated now. Don't be insecure or competitive or feel threatened by women who are thinner or prettier than you. Be happy for them. It will make you look better. Soon, you'll notice people flocking to the new you. Not just because you're skinny, but because you're happier, healthier, and eating a cruelty-free diet. I like the first part of that a lot, and again, I think that really applies to social media, where we can easily judge ourselves against other people, especially us as women. It's a slippery slope, and if you're triggered by that, I really recommend avoiding social media so that you don't get that into your mindset. Practicing some sort of meditation or regular affirmation practice where you're always reminding yourself to love yourself, looking in the mirror daily, and just reminding yourself that you are beautiful no matter what you look like is very, very important. And last, I love this way to kind of close everything out. Never feel like you are giving up your favorite foods. These words have a negative connotation, like you are sacrificing something. You're not giving up anything. You are simply empowered now and able to make educated, controlled choices about what you will and won't put in your body, your temple. Let all you think and, skip the line. Be grateful that you now know the truth about the foods you used to poison yourself with. Let all you think and speak of regarding this life change be positive. People who have positive attitudes are much more successful than those who don't. Be excited about feeling clean, pure, healthy, energized, happy, and skinny. Enjoy every second of this metamorphosis. Knowing the journey is as important as the results. All right, So we're already at the 25-minute mark, so I'm going to wrap things up. You've heard a lot of my personal opinions on this book. I've enjoyed reading this. I've spoken to so many people and heard so many perspectives on this book. I will say that I have met a lot of non-vegans or known non-vegan friends who have read this book, and it didn't really change things for them. So part of me feels like, again, it's just there's something lacking here. I think it has done some great work in terms of inspiring people in that bait and switch. I think that it's shown that veganism does not have to be this like uptight or boring thing. And you know, some people criticize like the older doctors behind Forks Over Knives and Starch Solution, all of that as just kind of not being appealing. Whereas this book feels like this young, hip, you know, perspective on it. It's much more focused towards like the millennial crowd, and I think that's why it's made its impact. So at the end of the day, this is exactly why I'm doing this series. I think it's so important to read a lot of different books, to get a lot of different perspectives, to hear from different people, to be inspired in different ways, to find out what works for you and works for other people that you know. If you pass this on to somebody and it doesn't impact them, maybe this book just isn't for them, or maybe it needs to be complemented with something else. And the same is true for you too. I would love to hear your experiences with this book if you've read it, and if you haven't read it, anything that you want to say on what I talked about today, whatever's resonated with you. I love having you be part of the community. And even if you don't have something to say, check out the comments down below. It's really interesting to see everybody else's different perspectives. We're in this together. I'm your accountability partner. I'm here to support you. I'm so glad that you're along with this journey for me. Again, be sure that you sign up for the mailing list down below. Not only will you get the PDFs, but you'll also be reminded when new videos come out, so you won't miss any of them. And if for some reason you don't get them, check your junk mail. I know that's happened to a few people. It's just what happens with newsletters. So do a search on your email program, go into your junk mail, or just send me a message and let me know, and I'll look into it further for you. Well, I have the next video coming out next Wednesday, and there'll probably be another unrelated video in the meantime here in this channel. I also do daily vlogs on my channel, What a Vegan Eats, which documents what I eat every single day, if you're curious about that. You also see a different side of me and all the different contexts of my life, so be sure to check out the channel if you're curious. And I will see you next Wednesday with another video. In the meantime, you can also check out me on social media. I'd love to connect with you there, so send me a message there. Let's stay in touch. I'm on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, all those different places. Wherever you like to hang out, find me. The links are right down below. Okay, I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye. Thanks for watching.